So I think we're gonna get started here as people arrive, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Evandro Moretto. Dr. Evandro Moretto is an associate professor at the University of São Paulo, USP, at the School of Arts, Sciences and Humanities, and also at the Institute of Energy and Environment. Currently, he coordinates the graduate program in environmental science, called the PROHA at USP. And also, he is the leader of a research project focused on socioeconomic changes in locations affected by hydropower plants in Brazil. Since 2009, he is also the vice president of the Brazilian Association of Tech Assessment. So it's our pleasure to have Dr. Moretto with us today. And he's also a collaborator in our Amazon Dams network. He has been spending some time with us this week and next week, wherever he's interested talking more with Evandro after this talk. Please let us know and we'll put in his schedule for next. So, welcome, Evandro, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Simone, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I was here 1 year ago, and I presented some results of my research, and I returned now to talk with you about the final results of this study, and this study that we developed in the last 2 years. And I am a professor of University of São Paulo, and this study was developed for this group, a research group in environmental planning and management. I coordinate this group. I teach environmental impact assessment and environmental planning and management in these 2 units: School of Arts, Science and Humanities, and Institute of Energy and Environment, University of São Paulo. I'm a member of ADN, and this study was funded by São Paulo Research Foundation and CNPq, National Council for Scientific and Technological Development. This project is called Development of Brazilian Municipalities Flooded by Hydropower Plants, and this study, it's a kind of exploratory study in nationwide. We didn't have this kind of perspective in Brazil, and considering all municipalities flooded by hydropower plants. We have several studies about the direct and indirect impacts, negative or positive impacts caused by hydropower plants. But this study is very important, and in this case, we tried to investigate the national scenario formed by these municipalities. Okay? It's not working. Okay. Okay, this is my plan, the plan of my presentation. I will talk about the relation between hydropower plant and development, as you know, but it's important to point in the beginning of the presentation. Our research problem and main issue, the theoretical and methodological approach that we adopted in this study, the results and conclusions, and when we end our research, we have to make new assumptions, we have to have new questions for the next steps, and I will present some of them. Okay, this is some points those relate the hydropower plants and development. Our premise is the development of civilization worldwide is associated with dams, according to this document, and according to this document, the dams and development produced by World Commission dams, and according to this document, dams are associated with several negative impacts, especially in local, at the local and regional scale. We don't deny the role of dams in the development, but we have to understand what is occurring at the local level. Hydropower plants are an important use from dams, especially in Brazil. In Brazil, the hydropower plants are planned to, the dams are planned to produce energy, to produce electrical energy. And we have other use from dams, but the main use is to produce energy. Hydropower plants are also associated with development, but especially in the national scale, and we are interested in the national scale, the national and at the local scale, local level. Hydropower plants are responsible for generate in Brazil about 60% of our energy, electrical energy. And we explore just 30% of our hydropower potential. It's very, as you know, it's important to understand because why the Amazon is the target of hydropower plants, and because in Amazon the most non-used hydropower potential is located in the Amazon, still remains in the Amazon. Okay, this is the figure to do the relation between hydropower plants and the development at the national scale. In Brazil, we have an important program, federal program did by federal government, Brazilian Accelerated Growth Program, and this program is formed by several plans, such as Brazilian Decennial Energy Plan, and in this Brazilian Decennial Energy Plan we have the plans for hydropower plants, and in these documents, hydropower plants are related to improve energy to supply larger markets, to supply industrial production and public supply, and then to improve gross national income. This is the relation, as we know about the relation between hydropower plants and the development at the national scale. And we don't deny this kind of relation, but we have to understand the relation at the other scale. Okay, if it's true that primary benefits of hydropower plants are found at the national scale, it's true as well, it's also true that these primary benefits are found far from their sites, the sites where the hydropower plants are located. Okay, and what's happening with the development at the local scale, at the local level? Here we have a figure with a Brazilian map. I highlighted the Amazon region. I highlight this region, but we study all regions in Brazil. We study 5 regions, all states. But in this case, for example, we have here Amazon region and several formed by several municipalities, and in this region we have Tucuruí hydropower plant, and Tucuruí affects several municipalities. Tucuruí floods several municipalities, and we are interested to understand what's occurring in this unit, in the unit of represented by municipalities in Brazil. And the research problem emerges from this kind of discourse. This discourse is a political discourse, and there is no problem when we consider this idea considering the political discourse, but we can't adopt this kind of idea with scientific assertion. We can adopt this kind of idea as a research problem to design our research. And in Brazil, according to the recent plans, hydropower plants induce local development. According to the Brazilian government, is this kind of idea is inside several documents, several Brazilian documents, those plans, hydropower plants, such as this kind of document project of Belo Monte hydropower plant, facts and data, produced by Ministry of Mining and Energy in 2011. And I bring here a fragment of this document, and I read, in addition to providing a new important source of electricity to support economic and demographic growth of the country, in this first half of the text, we have the relation between hydropower and national development. And in the second half, the Belo Monte will also improve the living conditions of local communities and enhance environmental protection in the area. In this second half of the fragment, we have the relation. We can see the relation between hydropower plants and local development according Brazilian government. Okay, and this kind of idea is inside several studies, like such as environment impact statement of Belo Monte, environment impact statement of São Luís do Tapajós, and Brazilian decennial energy plan. Okay, and because this, we have our problem. There is no empirical evidence that hydropower plants induce the development at the local level. Considering a nationwide, we don't have this empirical evidence. We have empirical evidence considering the case of studies, each hydropower plants, but not in a nationwide. And our question, are Brazilian hydropower plants associated with the municipal development in Brazil? We have this kind of association when we use some statistical tools to understand the phenomenon of development. Okay, this is the question that we adopted in our research. I will show some theoretical approach, some theoretical basis, those we adopted to design our methodological framework. And first, we have to point the meaning of the development. What kind of development we are talking about? And first, we have to understand what we are not talking about. We are not talking about this kind of development, and the development represented just by economic growth. However, we understand the economic growth as an important part of the development, but we can use as a synonym, yeah? And we are adopting this kind of idea. Even though economic growth is a part of the development, but we have to complete with this puzzle with other dimensions. And to understand the phenomenon with other dimensions, we adopted, we have to consider economy, long life and health, education, environment, so many dimensions and scales considered by Ina Sachs, Amartya Sen, United Nations Development Program, and development as a phenomenon. And we are working with this concept, the development as a phenomenon, a systemic and multidimensional phenomenon that emerges as the result of these dimensions, the result of the relation between these dimensions, and the development could be understood as an dependent variable of this independent variable. Okay, and in our case, we were just adopt the human development concept established by Amartya Sen, an Indian economist, Amartya Sen, in 1999. Amartya Sen won the Nobel Award in 2000.
Sorry, I have to mute Celio's. Hi, Celio.
I'm just gonna. We can't hear you, but you're gonna be able to talk in the end. So.
Where is the apple?
How do I do that? No, but then it's gonna stop altogether. Okay. No.
Okay.
Do you think it will stop altogether? No, just him. Okay.
Okay.
Now that we don't like him. Right there. Again.
Okay, we adopt this concept, the human development concept, formed by that concept considers the development with three dimensions: economy, long life, and health and education. We didn't study environmental dimensions because we don't have available data for these dimensions in Brazil as the same as we have in this case, and we are sure the environmental dimensions is very important, but we couldn't consider this kind of dimensions. Okay. Another theoretical basis, the endogenous local development by Sergio Bozier, a Chilean economist. And in this case, this theoretical basis is important to point the relation, the development as the result of the relation between municipalities and other municipalities in the same region. And based on this theoretical basis, we have inside the municipality, we have some endogenous features like local endowments in these endogenous features is responsible to the path of development. And we have also several interplays between municipalities, and because these two kind of conditions, endogenous features and the regional interplays, we have the local development emerging from this system. Okay, but we have to put the hydropower here because this kind of theoretical basis consider just the local features, and we have to put the hydropower using another theory, growth pole theory by Peru. We adopted this theory because Peru considered that the local development is the result between the interactions, between the relation between hydropower, between an entrepreneurship and the municipality and the local scale. When we put the hydropower in the municipalities, we have this kind of framework, exogenous interference, represented by hydropower plant, interact with endogenous features and produce stabilizing effects. When these kind of stabilizing effects are positive, we have a pole of development. And when these kind of effects are negative, we have an enclave of development. An enclave, we can understand enclave as an opposite scenario of development. Okay, here we are improving development. Here we are constrained development. Okay.
When you get both.
Yeah.
Then it's both.
Yeah. We found both scenario. Okay. And this is our framework. Okay. We are interested to discover if this scenario or this scenario occurs in the universe formed by all the municipalities flooded by hydropower plants in Brazil. Okay, some methodological approach. So we are not talking about all kinds of hydropower plants. We're just talking about the hydropower plants according to these two conditions in Brazil. Hydropower, big hydropower plants, but it's called just hydropower plants. Have to consider these two conditions. The area of the reservoir have to be equal or highest than 3 square kilometers, and the installed power of hydropower plant have to be equal or highest than bigger than 30 megawatts. And because these conditions, we have in Brazil in operation 134 hydropower plants distributed according this figure in these states. We don't have this kind of hydropower plants in 5 states: Acre, Roraima, Ceará, Rio Grande do Norte e Paraíba. But we have to identify the municipalities affected, flooded by these 134 hydropower plants in Brazil. And for this, we identify all municipalities flooded by this universe of hydropower plants, and we found this number. 641 flooded municipalities in Brazil. It's a significant number because this this number represents about 11% of our municipalities. And this kind of information justify the importance of this kind of study to understand the development of affected municipalities in a nationwide. Okay, and then we have to select the variables. We select two kind of variables. So independent variables, consider here as a driver in the development of municipalities, and dependent variable considered here as target of these drivers. Okay, and these are the variables. Independent variables, we have flooded area, the area of municipality flooded by hydropower plant in percentual area. Time of flooding, we are using this concept, this name, but in this case, time of flooding represents the time of municipality is under overflow. We are using the age of hydropower to find this value. Okay.
In years.
In years. The age of hydropower starts in the beginning of the operation. Okay. These two flooded area in time of flooding represent the pressure, the negative pressure into local system. And the third independent variable, financial compensation, represent financial compensation is a kind of benefit sharing, is a kind of revenue paid for the flooded municipalities because suppressed area by overflow, by inundation. And in this case, this variable is considered a compensation because the flooded area. Okay.
And this is not important. This financial compensation is just that funding that is given directly to the municipality to compensate for the flooding. So it doesn't include other compensation that the company is giving to the people or fishermen or others that are suffer the impact.
The financial compensation is paid during the operation, monthly, during the operation, and this the value of financial compensation is proportional of the profit of hydropower and the size of flooded area. But in this case, we are not talking about environmental compensation to improve conservation units or, okay? Yeah, just during the operation, okay? And the dependent variable, we are considered human development indicators as the dependent variables produced by United Nations Development Program from Brazilian official data, Brazilian official census. Okay, and here we have a figure showing the hydropower plants inside the timeline, and here we have our period when we are reading the development, we adopt this kind of concept municipal development performance, and the performance in this case is the difference between the absolute value of one indicator in 2010 and in 2000. The percentual difference in this decade. We are interested what is occurring in this decade with the flooded municipalities. Okay.
We only have data for that.
This decade. Okay. We don't have a baseline. We don't have a historical data series of indicators. We have a historical data series about hydropowers. Okay. And our source of indicators was Atlas of Human Development, produced by UNDP, and this atlas has 232 indicators, and we selected but it's a huge universe of indicators. We selected 155 indicators because these indicators are available for our period of analysis, and this indicator can be divided in these three dimensions: income, long life and health, and education, according human development concept by Amartya Sen. Okay, let's go to the results. I will show the results that we produced from because the correlation analysis, we use the experiment correlation with the respective statistical assumption test to validate the analysis. And in the first case, we are interested in this kind of question, this kind of relation: increase of flooded area of municipalities are associated with increases or decreases in the human development. Okay, and we did 155 correlation analysis. We just changed the indicator here. Okay, and the results shows that increases on flooded area of municipalities are associated with decreases in income per capita, for example, education, literacy decreases, and long life and health, such as an indicator in this case, for example, is life expectancy decreases when we increase the size of flood area. Okay.
Remember, is that true for like every single one of the 155 indicators, or is it just the majority of the indicators?
Of the cases.
Yeah, so because you know, there's typically the indicators, right? 155 indicators. And you say overall there's a negative correlation. The more flooding, the worse people are off. Is it
when we found significant results for the assumption test, these results shows for some indicators, the results shows this kind of pattern. Not just for 155. Did the correlations for this universe, but the results is significant. The significant statistical results when we find this kind of results show.
So when there was a specific correlation, it was a negative correlation. I think I understand you correctly. I was just rephrasing. So I think
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's okay. Another kind of correlation, we correlate the flooding time of municipalities with human development indicators. And in this case, we are interested in discover if increases in flood time of municipalities are associated with increases or decreases in human development, the values of human development indicators. And in this case, we found two situations: positive correlation and negative correlation, both significant correlations. Okay, and increase of flooding time of municipalities were associated with income per capita. Okay, increase of income per capita, and in this case we have a quantitative view of economy. But increases of flooding time of municipalities are associated with increases in poverty and inequality. And in this case, we have a negative view of a negative association with economy in a qualitative view. Okay, in a qualitative perspective, we have economic growth, but we have poverty and inequality increasing as well.
How could you measure poverty? What were the variables that you looked at?
We have two indexes about inequality, TAIL and Gini. And poverty, we have several indicators, and the percentual of the last quintile of population, and the last quintile, the fourth quintile. Okay, we have some kind of indicators to represent this pattern. Okay.
So that the income is, but not for growing, but not distributing.
Yeah, it's out the distribution.
Yeah.
So economic growth is not a reliable indicator of development.
Yeah. Yeah. The economy is growing, but its benefits are not being distributed. And in this
economy growing, but the poverty is also growing.
Economy as a quantitative perspective. In this case, increases in flooding time of municipalities are associated with decreases in education and long life and health. Literacy, long life expectancy as well. And the last correlation analysis we put in the independent variable, the values of financial compensation. But in this case, it's important to point that we didn't use the absolute value of financial compensation because $1 million can be important for a group of municipalities, but cannot be important for other municipalities because the size of economy, the size of municipality economy. And in this case, we use the importance of financial compensation, considering the size of municipality economy. Okay, we divide the absolute value of financial compensation per the gross municipal income. Okay, and the results. These are the results. Increases in the financial compensation are associated with increases in income, and in this case, this increase represents the economic growth and the reduction of poverty and inequality. we found this result. The economy is increasing in a quantitative and qualitative view in this case. But on the other hand, we found that increases in the values of financial compensation are associated with decreases in education and long life health, as the same of the last results. Okay, the conclusions are Brazilian hydropower plants associated with the municipal development, and we have three conclusions. First of them, increase in the flooded area is associated with a municipal enclave scenario, an opposite of development, considering a national-wide, considering income, education, and long life health. Why? In this case, we didn't study this answer, but we are infer some possibilities to the next steps. Okay, we are making our agenda, our research agenda for the next years. Suppressed area by innovation and resettlements impact the livelihood conditions during construction, and probably, we don't know, we have some empirical evidence about this, but we have to understand that probably determine an enclave scenario during operation, a kind of path dependence established for the operation period. The second conclusion, increasing the time that municipalities are flooded is associated with a municipal development scenario considering just income per capita, and a municipal enclave scenario considering poverty, inequality, education, and long life health. Why? Probably the enclave scenario left by hydropower construction increases during operation, and the local system can't react despite the economic growth. Can't transfer, the municipalities can't transfer the benefits of economic growth to other dimensions of development. It's an inference, okay? And the last conclusion, increase in the financial compensation is associated with a municipal development scenario considering income, consider all economy conditions. But municipal enclave scenario is related with municipal enclave scenario considering education and long life and health. Why? Probably the use of financial compensation is improving economy conditions of municipalities, but these are not being used to improve education and long life health. And the main conclusion, considering it's very important to return, we have to return to the theoretical basis, and considering the development as a broader phenomenon than economic growth. During the operation, hydropower plants isn't associated with the development of Brazilian flooded municipalities, considering development bigger than economy growth. In Brazil, during the operation, hydropower plants is associated with a municipal enclave. And now we have an empirical evidence about the relationship between hydropower plant and local development. The next steps, the disturbances of hydropower constructions. This is the kind of assumption. The disturbances of hydropower constructions and construction and operate can create a path dependence for the development of the municipalities during the operation. And I draw this figure, and here we have the thresholds of development, and here we have the moments of the hydropower inside the municipalities before construction, during the construction, and during the operation. And it's just an illustrative figure to represent our new assumption. The settlement, migration, innovation, and so many other problems those occur in this stage affect the course of development, and the development decreases in this stage, and the time of municipalities under inundation and the financial compensation ratified confirms this pattern during the operation, and it's an assumption, and in this case probably the municipal development is changing because the resilience of this system is changing. You have to understand the effects of hydropower plants in a systemic perspective. Probably the thresholds of development are changed by hydropower plants, and the construction can establish a new band of development, and this gray band represents this kind of idea. It's just a new assumption. We have 2 PhD students involved in this kind of problem, and now with the collaboration with Simone and Dennis, we are studying some hydropower plants in the Amazon before construction, such as Tabajara, Goiânia, during the construction, such as some hydropower plants located in the Telespires River, and in the beginning of the operation, such as Giral and Santo Antônio, Goiânia, Madeira River, and that's it. I think that's the main results. And thank you.